What's going on, guys? Welcome back. And it's finally sunny here. It's nice out. I got the SIs outside, the neighbors like cutting wood, and it's just overall a freaking awesome day, dude. It's really nice out. Yeah, good day to work on this thing. Finally have the door open, not freeze to death. I don't know, I have a sweatshirt on, but it was like 50 degrees or something this morning. We had a ton of thunderstorms last night. Those were kind of cool. They're kind of weak up here compared to friends down to the west of me, but I don't know. It's like spring finally showed up, maybe even somewhat mildly summer. I don't even know. I don't even know what month we're in. May? May. It is May. Anyways, back to this thing. Where did we leave off? Fuel lines. Well, I got the tank back in place like I said I was going to do. Look down here real quick. Got the fuel lines all tucked up. Except for, I mean, like you can see it right there, but barely. And got them all pretty much mounted in place. A couple things I want to do, but ordered this here fancy clamp kit with all of these fancy clamps off a fancy site called Amazon. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't. Just kidding. Anyways, yeah, I got those clamps off Amazon, clamped the fuel lines up, so now they'll be out of the way and won't be dragging on the ground. So that's done. There's really only one other thing that I kind of want to do with the fuel line. I just haven't decided exactly what I'm going to do yet. And I don't even know. Yeah, you probably can't see it from here. Anyways, where the line comes off of, let's see if I get down here. Oh, no, you can't really see it. Anyway, well, it's right down there. Maybe you can see it. I can't really see it on the camera, but that dash 10 line comes up and it's like touching the subframe. And I'm just worried about it maybe, potentially rubbing there. So just got to figure something out there. I think if I just put another clamp on it and pull it towards the firewall more, it'll be fine. But I ran out of self-tapping screws, and yeah, I don't really feel like going back to the hardware store again today because it's not gonna be one of those days. So, anyways, what we're gonna do today is what I pretty much talked about last week, and I said I was probably gonna do. Not that. Move that. I don't know if I'll get to that today. I don't need this anymore. I don't think. And directions. Can't put my shifter in. I'm still waiting on those parts. But here we've got our Deatschwerks dual fuel pump hardwire kit. There's part number in case anybody needs one. Well, yeah, so I am running the Skunk 2 dual fuel pump hanger in a stock tank, and I'm running 2 grams 320 fuel pumps, I believe. So we need to wire up 2 fuel pumps. The stock wiring ain't big enough to handle that amperage and run 2 pumps and burn it up. So that's where this comes into play, this little Deatschwerks kit. And it seems pretty well, I shouldn't say self-explanatory, but it seems pretty easy to wire in. So we're just going to knock this out, get it done. And these pumps will be wired up. And then if any of you need to know how to wire up your dual pumps on your Skunk 2 or Grams dual fuel pump hanger, well, then you'll know how to do it. So let's get into the car. Alright, so now I'm in the car. I kind of briefly opened this already, so I kind of know what it looks like. But get this thing. Just dropped everything. Just pulled out. So, move these off the side. We don't need the bag. Got 1 relay, 2 relays, 1 for each pump. That's a piece of wood. And here's our harness. So the relays obviously plug into that. We've got our grounds, which will go to the battery, which actually is, with the battery being in the rear. Actually, make that pretty easy. Same with our power going to our batteries. So basically the difference between like your factory fuel pump and doing something like this is your factory fuel pump is going to power, well, there's power going to it already through your main relay. You have power there. What happens is you turn your key on and the main relay grounds out, and then that completes the circuit because you would then have ground. So it completes that circuit, and then your fuel pump powers on. 2 seconds in the on position, and then in the run position it stays on so that you continuously have fuel flow. The difference here is that our battery power is going to come directly to the pumps from the battery and our ground, or not to the pumps. Our power is going to come directly to our relays from the battery, and their signal wire that the factory signal wire in the car will be spliced into our harness, and then that way when I turn the key, it'll know, hey, it'll send that signal to the relays. The relays will click on, allowing power and ground to run through them, powering on our fuel pumps. Kind of the same concept in a way, but different. It should work. I believe it works that way. And yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But that's the way I'm going to wire them. So, yeah. All right, so coming off our pump, we've got 2 positive wires, 2 ground wires. I can't tell you which one goes to which pump. Doesn't matter. It's still going to have power and ground to each pump, no matter which way you wire it up. This is still going to be grounded, still going to have power. So basically, I need to take my 2 positives, my 2 negatives, and grab my new harness here, and we need to splice in our positives and negatives to our relays. Okay, so the power hooks here to our yellow wires from the pump. So move that harness out of the way from our pump. We've got two grounds, 2 powers. The 2 powers go to the yellow wires on the Deatschwerks harness, and your 2 black wires. There's 1 ground wire right here that runs. It's like solo. It's by itself. Doesn't go to the relays. It's just solo, and it actually runs up. I laid this out. It goes all the way up to the ground terminals, up by the positive terminals that'll end up hooking to our battery. So I had to take a minute there to make sure I got all of this right. So then your 2 blue wires here, they're gonna go to your factory wire here, which is the yellow, and what color is that? Yellow and green. That should be your signal wire. That'll end up telling your relay to, hey, complete the circuit and power on the pumps. Now, of all the research I've done, that should be right. I've read the schematic several times, and when I doubt myself, I go back to it, I read it again, and I come up with the same conclusion, that should be right. And I'm going to double check it one more time before we actually do this, because unfortunately the butt connectors I went and bought, I thought these would be, I thought the blue ones would work. I figured red would be way too small. Figured the blue ones would work. Well, not for whatever gauge this is. Does it say on there? No, I don't. Anyways, that's just too big. It doesn't fit. So I needed yellow butt connectors, but then the problem there is the fuel pump wiring isn't really that big. So solution, we're gonna solder them together and hope that hope I get it right the first time. Which is why I'm gonna go double check the schematic, and I'll show you guys the schematic as soon as I get it up. All right, so here is our schematic. So let's see here, we've got these 31 starter signal. Here's our main relay. So You look right here, turn the key on, main relay powers up, power comes down to yellow green wire right here to our fuel pump, and then goes through the fuel pump to ground. So if I hook the blue signal wires to the yellow green, when the main relay power's on, it's going to send power to the blue wires, which are going to wake up our relays, and then that'll ground that circuit, pop our relays on. The 12 volts that are coming from the battery, because we have battery voltage at the relays, will be allowed to go straight through to the pumps, powering the pumps on, and we'd be golden. So it should work in theory. The more I look at the schematic, the more, it makes sense to me, because that is what comes from the main relay to tell the pump, hey, wake up. So, yeah.
3 hours later.
All right, plan B. So it's actually gotten really freaking warm outside, but I was thinking, well, let me go in here. So this grommet here, originally, was on the factory harness to go through the pump cover. Well, I was thinking, I'm like, well, how am I gonna get the pump cover on if I solder all these wires together? And then I'm like, well, I'd like to have the grommet on there, ideally. So here's what I did. I depinned all the fuel system connectors down here. They're all depinned, except this one. I repinned this one. It was depinned. I put it back together. But anyways, I depinned them all, pulled the grommet off, shoved the grommet on here, and I was gonna solder these, and then I'm like, I kept hemming and hawing, and I kept wanting like weather pack connectors or something, just so I could like disconnect it if I ever need to. But of course you can't get anything like a day, and you can't find the right things and whatnot. But I did find this cool little quick disconnect connector thingamajigger, and I think that's what I'm gonna do on these. I think I'm just gonna put quick disconnects on here, and then run. That way I can run them through the cover, and be able to disconnect this harness from the pump without having to cut it. And I think that'll be easiest for now. Maybe in the future if I get weather pack connectors or something, or Deutsch connectors, make it a little bit cleaner, make it a little bit nicer. But for now, I think that's what I'm gonna do instead of soldering those wires. So yeah, I got the cover for the pump cover, or the pump cover is out on the trailer, drying. I just washed that off. I'm gonna paint that thing, make it look pretty, and I'm gonna get these fittings put on here, I guess, or these quick disconnect crimp things, and maybe actually get this thing done instead of me just doing this. So yeah, let's do that. Alright guys, well, there it is. It's done. So, got the cover painted, matches the rest of the back seat area, except for the dirt that fell out of all the loom and stuff I took off the factory wires. But outside of that, I got my grommet on here. I actually have this on the Deatschwerks harness side, but I couldn't pull it down over the connectors, so I had to take them all one by one and then put it on the other side so I could actually get to the cover. And then, you know, this is all just like the cover's just sitting here right now because I can't really bolt it down, screw it down, because, you know, still got to make sure there ain't no fuel leaks down here on our lines. So it's just kind of just chilling temporary for now. But as you can see, we got our quick disconnects here, so I can yank these apart. I've already done it like 3 times, so it's a good thing that I didn't solder them, because I probably would have screwed something up and had to cut the wires and resolder again, which would have really made me angry. But starting here, we got our 2 ground wires coming from the pumps. 2 ground wires going to our single ground wire that goes all the way back to the battery. It's no battery yet, so, but it goes back there. The ground wires are actually shorter than the power wires, I'm assuming, so that you can ground your pumps back. You know, if your battery's in the front of the car, you can ground your pumps towards the rear and then still have plenty of wire, you know, because to get your power up to the battery. That's why the power's longer. But so yeah, that's our ground. Ground's going back to the batteries. That'll be grounded back there, which will be fine. And then we got our 2 positives. So we have our positive coming off each one of the pumps from our relay, and then also off our relays we have these blue wires, which is our signal. So I just spliced those together into one connector, and this is our green and yellow and green that comes from the main relay. So as soon as the key is turned on, this wire energizes. It'll energize the relays, allowing 12-volt power from the battery to come through to the pumps. And like I said earlier, in the key on position, it'll fire it on for whatever it is, 2 seconds to prime the fuel system. And then in the run position, that keeps constant power to the relays to keep them energized, and then the pumps will run while the car's running. So pretty simple. If you follow the directions, I mean, they come with, you know, a diagram for the relays and step-by-step instructions. But I figured I'd do a quick video. I don't know how quick this video is, but you know, just an install video for Civics in case anybody else out there. I mean, a lot of people watch my dual fuel pump hanger install videos, so maybe this will go along with that. Maybe it'll help somebody out. Maybe it won't help anybody out. No matter, I'm putting it on there. If you don't like it, I don't know, go watch I don't know, anyone else. Just find another channel. Actually, don't do that. Subscribe, like the video, share it, tell your friends, tell your grandma. I need more subs. Trying to hit 100. I hit 100 subs, I'll eat the world's hottest gummy bear.
Uh-oh. Did I say that or just think it?
Yeah, I said that. The world's hottest gummy bear. I hit 100 subs, I'll eat the dang thing. Let's make it happen. So that's today's video, guys. For the most, well, actually, hold on. Outside of the world's hottest gummy bear and hitting 100 subs, before I close this video out, I am going to show you guys that I did finish plumbing the fuel system. So we have our return to the regulator, which drops to our dash 8 line and returns to the tank. And on this side over here, we got our dash 10 line coming off and goes down to our fuel filter. So the fuel system's fully plumbed. It's wired. Just shows you guys that, so you've seen that. The only other thing is here's the rest of the harness. So like I said, you got 2 fuse, and I mean they're spliced together, so there's just 1 power lead and our 2 ground leads here. And just ground those on the battery, power on the battery, and then I'll probably, I don't know, tie this up somewhere, something nice, and that'll be that. And the fuel system is pretty much over, done, complete, as long as there's no fuel leaks. And yeah, so that's done. Now we can move on just whatever's next. Probably since I got fuel lines done and I got pretty much all the coolant lines done except for the radiator hoses, I think the next thing I'm gonna do is get this engine harness on here, since I'm still waiting on parts to completely make this work, the radiator, the up pipe, all of that. I'm waiting on stuff to show up, but I don't know what's faster these days, the government or parts delivery. I don't know. Anyways, guys, like I said, like, subscribe, tell your friends about it, get my channel to 100 subs. I'll eat the world's hottest gummy bear. Hope you guys have a good weekend, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.
I've been dreaming on in my head like I've seen it. A life worth living is a life with meaning. I'll do what I love till my heart stops beating. I'm feeding this demon. Got a taste, can't erase bitterness in my face.